Hello family, it's Kevin Orosz, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the end of the world, the end of the old world, and what this might mean on many levels for myself, for you, and humanity. So I haven't made a video on this channel in a little while. I almost said I haven't channeled a video on this page in a little while, which is also accurate. But I want to get on here and just share some of my thoughts and feelings around this situation and just kind of go rapid fire with what my research, my intuition, and my direct experience talking to people I trust has uncovered and revealed. And, the first thing I want to say just straight away is, if you're going to get triggered or there's going to be information here that's going to really upset you, or you're going to write some angry comments or maybe even send an angry message, just invitation to situate yourself in the conversation and really take responsibility. Just want to say that first and foremost. This is coming from love and informing. So this is me informing you of me doing that. So here's the thing, it's the end of the world. It's Armageddon. So many places, peoples, and times have predicted what's happening right now. And you could really say this going all the way through the 20th century. And now, obviously, in the 21st century, you've got some really intense stuff happening. So some of us that have been studying mythology and ancient history and even religion on the pure strands, not the dogmatic, more modern viral strands, pun intended, are not surprised that things are getting fucking biblical, basically. And I don't pretend to know what that means or know the exact dates or the order of things that are happening, but let's just say this time was predicted, and it's very clearly described in all the ancient texts. I mean, just to name a few, the Rig Veda, the Mahabharata, the sacred texts of the Mayans, the sacred texts of the Egyptians, the ancient Chinese very closely studied the 13-moon calendar and understood that this time would come. If you know anything about Baktuns, if you know anything about the Christian mythos in the book of Revelation, there's a lot in there too that describes this time we're living in. And I actually do believe it's that time. And I think it's exciting. I actually don't think it's time to fear, because many of us have been anticipating this change unconsciously or subconsciously, maybe for decades. And so there's a piece of us that is really relieved at the same time that there's a lot of grief and panic right now. So I want to really acknowledge that and acknowledge all the people out there suffering and send you lots of love. And if that's you right now, then please get help. Please ask for help. Please be seen and use these tools, these wonderful smartphones and social media to get help and support. For the rest of us who are watching the massive news stream and all the other things happening, I really want to speak into this. And I don't know this stuff for sure, but I'm going to speak from the hip here. I'm going to fire from the hip, like any good Texan. Here's the thing. Things aren't going back to normal. I don't believe things are going back to normal. There's some of you out there, and this is something I spoke to with clients and people I'm working with, who are really gripping on, and they're just digging in and trying to grip on because they're just waiting for things to go back to normal. They're waiting to go back to work. They're waiting for business as usual. I don't think that's a good strategy. I think evolution, as the mother teacher, Gaia, this planet, the land, the animals know, when change comes, you lean in. You adapt, you move, you change. You do not resist. Those who resist will be snapped like twigs in the wind. Anyone who's been in a hurricane or a tornado knows that the reed or the tree or the building that bends doesn't get broken. And so just realize that we're not going back to normal. The pandemic might end, but we're not going back to normal. So if you can really accept that in your body and release the fear and release the rage and release the deep emotions of panic and confusion. And there's a lot of practices for that. If you don't know what they are, there's a lot of videos I talk about that, or send me a message. There's many options. Once you've moved that energy and moved that emotional energy and you've accepted that, okay, the world's changing in a massive way. Think about our grandparents, our great-grandparents' generation. Think about what was happening in 1920 or even 1914. World War I is brewing. Go to 1929. We're living in a fractalization of the crises of the 20th century. Now the 21st century has its first massive crisis on a scale we've never seen. Since the Spanish flu, there hasn't been a pandemic like this, to my knowledge. And so there's really an invitation here to accept this as It's not going to change. There's no get out of jail free card. No one's going to bail you out. Mommy and daddy aren't going to come get you. That includes the government, your actual parents, your loved ones. It's time to grow up, and the species is entering an evolutionary phase right now. We're in a phase shift. There's a lot happening. So that's number one. Number two is I want to speak to all the conspiracy theorists out there. And by the way, the term conspiracy theorist, actually look up the Webster definition of conspiracy. It's when a group of powerful people collude in secrecy to create more power, which, gee, doesn't that sound familiar? There's nothing woo-woo about the word conspiracy or theory. Theory is just a hypothesis that is yet to be tested with data, per se. So using conspiracy theorists to, just dampen people's expression or make them invalid is actually a complete logical fallacy, and it's just silly. And it saddens me to see a lot of the people on my newsfeed who I trust and love, even from afar, even if they're acquaintances, fall into some of these ad hominem and silly, arguments. So that being said, please stop researching conspiracy theories. I know a lot of you have binged this content, and for some of us, we've been reading about this stuff for decades, like the whole agenda and the dark forces that may or may not exist at many levels on Earth, which, by the way, I believe evil is very real. This is not a joke. There's very powerful energies on this planet that are archetypal evil. And just look at every film, novel, every play ever written, every story and myth ever told. Evil is very real. They're not making this shit up. Evil is real. And if you think it's just in fairy tales, well, I've got news for you. It exists today, and it's alive. And I don't understand its full role in what's happening, but I do understand that we're at war. There's something happening on this planet right now. That being said, please stop watching conspiracy theory videos. Please stop binge reading all this stuff. Please channel that energy, make love, make art, work on your business, start your brand, write a book, write a blog, create that sculpture you've been thinking about, start that online group, men's or women's circle you've been thinking about. We get to channel our energy right now. This is an evolutionary trigger and driver, and conspiracy is going to dampen and close off your creative energy because of fear, panic, terror, and the fear of the future. It's never happening now. It's never in the present. You get to move through it with discernment. Discernment's going to help a lot right now. So that's number two. I just really want to invite y'all into that. And I'm speaking from experience, people. I'm not talking out of my ass here. I went on that bender. It doesn't help. It took me days to clear that shit. It's not worth it. That being said, number three, stay informed. So I really want to ask you, what's your info diet right now? A lot of us in the conscious community have green juice on point. We have our yoga, our breath work, plant medicine, all this cool stuff. But what's your information diet like? Where are you getting your news sources? Are they from people you trust? Where are you getting your messages? Are you opening every forwarded email and link that some rando on social media is sending you that's pure fear porn and is getting you nowhere? And yeah, what mainstream media sources do you want to trust? I don't know. I don't know if any of them are trustworthy. The great Terence McKenna said, the data streams are corrupt, people. This is the 90s. The data streams are corrupt. We must return to first principles. Because if you understand philosophy, and this is not some woo-woo professor, in your college, university, this is an ancient tradition that's perennial in the East and the West that goes back as far as writing goes. And they studied epistemology, which is the ways we get knowledge. You know what the most powerful way to get knowledge is? It's direct experience. It's not reading some article and then sharing it with all your friends because you're suddenly an expert on corona. A really powerful way is to get it through transmission as well, or testimony from a teacher, like a teaching transmission from someone you really trust who has wisdom, not necessarily knowledge, which I don't know how many of us are connected to that. And then comes hearsay and news, If you study the history of the media is not there to inform you. The media is not there to inform you. It's always been propaganda and war, public relations and peace. And if you want to go down that rabbit hole, feel free, but media technology, media science, media theory is not designed to inform you as it's being practiced on a pure level as delegated by the Bill of Rights and the people who founded America, who I believe some of which were good. They wanted free press and freedom of speech. So it's hard to come by these days, especially with these algorithms. So I'm inviting all of you to share this video right now if you're feeling it, because who knows if it'll be deleted. Real talk. I'll also save this and republish it elsewhere, so no worries on that. Also, another thing that I really want to impart to everybody right now is, if you don't have an online business, or if you're waiting for your normal job to return, or if you've always wanted to start a brand or business, now's the time, okay? So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to become the next Tony Robbins or the next Les Brown. All you need to do is solve a problem, create art, add value to people's lives, add joy to people's lives. A lot of people need joy right now. A lot of people need health right now. A lot of people need well-being. Guess what? This pandemic is the best thing to happen to the personal development industry. I'm built for winter. As a coach and as a facilitator, I'm built for this. As a digital nomad and entrepreneur, I'm built for this. This is my speciality. Moving emotion, tactically and strategically targeting these things, using precise language, doing the healing, doing the work, creating inspiration. And I'm learning from the best. I'm just looking up at the ones ahead of me with respect and humility. So this is my invitation to all of you, coaches, consultants, artists, musicians, healers, speakers, sculptors, dancers, painters. Please make amazing work and share it. And you have no excuse right now, if you're in quarantine, if you're practicing social isolation, and you have something to give it. It's the time, family. It's straight up time, y'all. It's time. So I want to invite you and reinvigorate and just be that permission slip right now. It's not a coincidence you're watching this video, where you're watching it, when you're watching it. Boom. The last thing I really want to cover here, and just, I'm going to make this short. I don't want to rant on here for a while. I'll get into some rants later. I've got some epic podcasts and live videos coming up. I've been silent for a little while, or just writing to y'all. I haven't been on camera, but the last thing I want to say is, this is an invitation. It's a sacred pause. It's a creative quarantine. As one of my favorite people is saying right now, quarantine, This is an opportunity to go in and actually do the work and actually show up for yourself. You don't have any more excuses. You don't have to wake up at 7 and rush to work in traffic or eat shitty food. You can meditate. You can do pranayama in the morning. You can take a cold shower. You can journal. You can do affirmations. You can customize your routine. You can create that thing you want to create. You can go take that nature immersion you've been wanting to take. Maybe it's time to build the house or build the shed, or work on whatever it is you want to work on. There's no more excuses. This is a creative quarantine. You realize there's been pandemics in the past where the quarantine lasted a year? Van Gogh talked about this. He was in Europe during a quarantine in the 20th century that lasted a year. Your grandparents got drafted and sent to war. Some of our parents got drafted and sent to war to kill people they didn't know for reasons that didn't make sense. We're being asked to really drop in and go deep and do your healing work. Fast, meditate, write, sing, dance, pray, light a sacred fire. Let that shit go. Because family, buckle up. I think it gets gnarlier from here. I believe that this year is a turning point right now for our species, and it's only going to get more crazy. Both good crazy and bad crazy. So let's hold a prayer for the best possible reality that we can create together. I'm sending you all so much love right now, sending you peaceful and powerful presence. I hope you just precisely and with pleasure live your purpose and go in, go deep, okay? Last thing I want to share with y'all, I'm doing a free webinar and epic training. Let's make love viral. I'm going to cover a lot of epic things about building a brand, building content, speaking with integrity, and really building resilience during this time. And I'm really stoked to drop in with that. So be sure to register with the link below. I'll have it in the comments. I'll see y'all on Thursday evening, 7 p.m. LA time. And yeah, family, it's 2020. Let the perfect vision come forth.